Welcome to the Real Business Lifetime Lessons podcast, where Carolina business leaders get real about growth, grit, and leadership. Today, we're joined by Mary Anna Ossa, founder of Partners in Grapes, the first Latina-owned organic wine brand in the Carolinas. With a background in finance, real estate, and design, Mariana brings a rich tapestry of experience to her mission of creating a cleaner, more conscious wine experience. In this episode, she shares how values like sustainability, community, and impact have shaped both her brand and her journey. Mariana, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Aubrey.
Your journey from real estate and finance into launching Partners in Grapes is definitely not a straight line. What inspired the leap into wine entrepreneurship?
That's a good question. I started out in real estate. I worked for a home builder, mortgages, all of that, and I loved it. But I took a break when I had my kids because I wanted to stay home with them. And I was fortunate enough to be able to stay at home with them for almost 13 years. I have three children. And honestly, wine was something that fell onto my lap. I always loved wine, but I couldn't drink more than a glass or two without getting a massive headache. So when I discovered organic wines, I knew that it was a cleaner option. So I decided to jump right in.
Can you share the story behind the name Partners in Grapes? What does it represent to you personally?
When I think about wine, when I think about the wine industry, I needed support from the get go because, like I said, I don't come from that industry. I didn't know anything about wine distribution or licensing or importing, production, really nothing. So I needed to look for partners in distributors, in retailers, in vendors, in clients. So the name comes from the idea of me looking for people that if you believe in what I'm doing and I believe in what you're doing, we can grow together.
Partnership and relationship seems to be such an important part of growing a business. You've created the first Latina owned organic wine brand in the Carolinas. What does that milestone mean to you? And how has your heritage influenced your brand?
In every way. And it means a lot, especially with everything that's going on in the country. I've lived in the United States for 27 years and I'm a proud American citizen, but I'm also a proud immigrant and a proud Latina. So creating this from scratch, part of my goal is to inspire other women and especially Latinas to believe that there is that they can still achieve a new dream even after 40, even after having children. If you believe in yourself and you have the determination and the stamina to keep it going, you can definitely achieve pretty much anything you want.
With your deep commitment to sustainability, health, and women's empowerment, how do these values show up in your business day to day?
I think in everything that I do, I suffer from food allergies. I'm one of those people that has to carry an EpiPen everywhere I go. So what I put in my body, what I put in my glass, I'm very intentional and very careful about. I had a lot of friends that will buy organic vegetables and organic fruits, but when it came to wine that they drink regularly and socially, they will buy anything. So my goal was to educate people. Listen, maybe pay a little more attention into what's in your glass as well as what's on your plate. So sustainability is incredibly important. We only have one planet. We only have one body and we only have one life. We have to really take care of ourselves. And it's just incredibly important.
I agree with you. I think that's a message, especially for women that are our age, that we need to be hearing and reminding ourselves of often. How do you build trust with your customers, especially when introducing something as specific as organic and vegan wines?
I think honesty and transparency are super important. I try to be authentic on my message and my social media, not only show that this is what we make. And when it comes specifically to our product, we have independent labs analyzing our wines and providing that analysis on our website. You can go and see exactly what's in our wines. We don't use additives, and in the vineyard, we don't use pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, nothing like that. So everything is done naturally. But when it comes to my journey as an entrepreneur, also show that it's not always fun and easy. There are a lot of challenges that we face, and that's part of it. I want to make sure that that my message is clear and that is honest. That way, people can trust me because I'm real.
It's So challenging when you're running a business and people who don't run businesses, and this is no fault of their own. They don't know, they don't have the experience. They feel like we just have the ability to set our own schedules, be on or off whenever we want to be. The money's always there, and there's so many challenges that we need to share more of because it is hard to be a small business owner. Have there been any moments where community support made a big difference in your business growth or personal journey?
Community support has been key for me. I launched in Fort Mill, South Carolina, and then we expanded within the community into Rock Hill and Indian Land. And by then, I only had a few accounts. And I was blessed and lucky enough to find a network of women-owned businesses who were willing to support me, who believed in me. Places like Illumination Wines, State Line Beverage, they're all women-owned. Southern Spirits, all of these places that say, hey, we believe in what you're doing, let us support each other. And to this day, they're my biggest partners. So without the support of the community, I don't think I will be able to be doing what I'm doing right now.
I don't know if I mentioned to you during our intro call, but I'm actually from Fort Mill. I went to Fort Mill High. So I'm glad to hear my community has been
Yes.
so welcoming to you and
Oh,
helped
yeah.
you grow along the way. What's been one of the biggest challenges of growing a wine brand in the Carolinas, and what has surprised you along the way?
Distribution is probably my biggest challenge, especially in North Carolina. South Carolina is very friendly when it comes to small businesses. North Carolina is a little different. I've had two distributors in North Carolina and we struggle every day. I'm looking for a new distributor in North Carolina right now, just so we can fix the issues that we have. So that's probably the biggest challenge that we face. Alcohol is extremely regulated in the US, as it should be, and you have to go through a distributor in every state, and every state has different laws and regulations, and you have to sort of learn the laws and permits and licenses in every single state. That is it's time consuming and it's sometimes expensive and challenging as well.
Some of our listeners are small business owners that are just starting out. What advice would you give to someone who is building a value-based brand?
When it comes to values, I think those should be your non-negotiables. It's important to create a culture within your own business, even if it's just you, because you got to grow from there. There are other things that you can rethink along the way. Business plan, your sales system, your operation system, all of that evolves. But I think your values should be your non-negotiables, what you're not willing to settle, what you're not willing to do. And that comes from knowing your worth and the worth of your product or your service. If you're clear on that, your values have a strong foundation. Everything else can move around, but that has to be unshakable.
I actually worked with a business coach and spent a lot of time and money getting very, very clear on my personal core values. But fast forward 8 years later, now when there's a question that comes along that seems like it's gray, it's not gray. It's just a matter of looking at those values and going, does this align with what is important to me and what I want to grow for my family and my team?
Yeah, it's especially because there will be times in your business where you need to make a sale because you need the money. And you might question your pricing, you might question this and that, and not based on your product, but based on your need. And I feel like we have to be quick to learn that not every potential client is a good fit. Sometimes it's okay to say, you know what, this is not going to work between us. We have to move on. But that takes time and effort, and you have to be fearless sometimes and understanding that you can't sacrifice yourself to make a sale.
And that definitely comes a little bit from experience too. It's hard to make those
Yeah.
decisions at the beginning of your career, the beginning of your business.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you get several years in, you have that faith in your ability to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We talked a little bit about strategic partnerships, but can you expand a little bit more on the role that collaboration and strategic partnerships have played in your business so far?
Yeah, collaboration is key. And I think that's something that we all need to learn. You can't do this alone, no matter what. In my particular case, I have partnered with Budweiser in a couple of states and as my distributors. And you have to build and nurture those relationships. And that takes time and takes effort, but it's extremely important. My distributors are my logistics partner, but they're not my salespeople. I have to provide my own sales and they're there to support me. I think every part of your business, it's all about collaboration and partnership. is what can you do for me? What can I do for you? And how can we work together? I think once we understand that, we'll see the benefit in it and the opportunities come with it.
How do you see your business evolving in the next few years? Are there areas you'd like to expand, distribution, events, partnerships? Talk to us about what your dream building looks like.
Yeah. So if you had asked me that question a year ago, I would have said, oh, I want to grow to 10 different states. And in 5 years or 10 years, I want to go national. That completely changed. Now I don't want to grow that big, mainly because growth like that implicates losing control in an expansion that requires not only capital, but time and effort that I will stretch myself way too thin. I think my goal now is to really concentrate in 3 states, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. And instead of growing wide, growing deep. Key accounts, key partnerships, and of course, if I can, grow the DTC side of the business. But that's my goal. I want to keep it big enough that it's very profitable, but small enough that I can still have control over it.
It's funny because it seems like your business trajectory is probably similar to what we're looking at Lifetime Insurance Agency. Because we're in South Carolina, obviously, we've expanded North Carolina. We're trying to decide if the next state is going to be Georgia or Tennessee. If you could snap your fingers and fix one bottleneck in your business overnight, what would it be?
Access to capital for small businesses, particularly mine. Mine is a business where you need capital upfront and you don't collect until 30 days later. So that's always a challenge to move the sales cycle. And I will make the regulations and laws a little bit flexible. Not a lot, but just a little bit. So small producers like myself have more room to grow.
With your background in real estate and finance, how has that shaped the way you think about protecting and growing your business today?
I learned from that, but I also have learned from my husband owning his own business for almost 10 years. He's an architect and had his own farm. And I think the fact that I was all about sales, I can sell, and marketing. And I sort of neglected the financial side of the business because I avoided it, because it's the boring, the more concerning side. Now I completely understand that if you don't know the financials, if you don't have a handle on your numbers, you have no business. So definitely that have come into play, and being from the mortgage industry and understanding basic math and how to, how to read a P&L statement and a balance sheet, all of that is just incredibly important. You have to have a handle on your numbers.
Yeah. The non-sexy part of owning a business is the accounting, the banking, the like looking at this going, where are we carrying too much waste? Where do we need to make cuts? Have you had to navigate complexities when it comes to coverage for beverage event staff or inventory as you've grown?
Yeah, especially the more we grow and the more we expand, the more people we need. We have to, once you get with a distributor or you get placements, and let's say you get your wines in 4 different stores in Greenville, Columbia, Athens, and Augusta, then that means you're going to need people to do wine tastings in all of those places so you can put the wine into people's mouths so they can taste it and buy it. So I'm always having to grow the team of wine tasters because they are the ones that are talking to the customers and are engaging with them and promoting the wines. And that's not always easy. You get people who are very good, and you also get people who don't show up, who are on their phones when they should be working. And it's a challenge because I have to travel to these markets at least once every 2 weeks just to check on things, meet with my team, meet with the distributors, making sure that we're all on the same page. So growing that part of the team is always a little challenging because it's not easy to find people who want to do the work.
How have you worked on yourself as you're having to lead these team members?
That is a very interesting question. I have to work on myself every second of every day. I'm not a very patient person. And sometimes I'm one of those people that I rather do it myself than explain it to someone else how to do it. Delegating is really hard for me because I've grown this company from scratch. So I'm working on it every single day. My husband is probably my biggest inspiration and my greatest teacher. He is so good at managing people and he's so patient with his team. And sometimes even emails and things like, oh my God, I want to respond to this email. He said, nope, reply tomorrow when you are out of your feelings and out of your emotions. So I'm learning to do that every day because, eventually we'll continue to grow and we'll have more people to manage. So I want to be a good leader. I want to inspire people. And I have to work on myself to be able to do that for sure.
That's really difficult to do both as a female leader and as a mom. We're used to picking up those tasks, and sometimes we really do need to leave it sitting there for somebody else to learn the lesson of figuring it out themselves. What's something you wish more entrepreneurs understood about protecting the businesses they're working so hard to build?
That fear it's never going to leave them because people say, I don't want to do it. I'm scared of failing. I'm scared of losing money. I'm scared of this. And fear is always a big factor. And fear can have two purposes in life. It can either protect you from danger, or it can also paralyze you when it stops you from moving forward and taking action. In my personal opinion, I learned to do it scared. I'm scared every day. And this is just me. Some people thrive on that. I learned to show up scared, to make a list and take action even though I'm scared. And if fear is the only reason that's stopping you from doing what you want to do, that shouldn't be the reason. I understand if the economy is the reason. I understand if lack of capital is the reason. I understand if you have a baby, that's a reason. But fear should not be a reason.
Fear is usually just something that means we need to spend some time working out a solution. It's not a good reason not to act.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pop quiz, since we've already discussed that you're working on yourself, and I understand that your husband's a big inspiration. But if you were to name a podcast or a book or a YouTube channel that has helped you grow as a business leader, what might you recommend to a younger business owner or somebody who's thinking about starting a business?
I love Mel Robbins, and her podcast is inspirational in a way that doesn't sound cliche, even though what she shares is common sense, but not common knowledge necessarily. What she said, what she talks about, we need to be reminded of at all times. So I enjoy her podcast a lot. I also listen to the How of Business, and it just share stories of entrepreneurs and how they turn an idea into a business and what they went through, their challenges. And I feel like when you start as an entrepreneur, this is a little bit of a lonely journey. So learning other people's stories and understanding that you're not the only one going through these challenges, it's like, okay, I'm on the right path. I can still do this. That has helped me in many ways.
With you. I mentioned to one of the other guests on the podcast that the year I bought my business, my entire friend group changed because I realized I needed to get around people who had lived some of the experiences I was trying to figure out. And it wasn't any slight on my former friends. It's just if they had always worked within a corporate system, or many of them are educators, they just didn't understand. So you've got to surround yourself with people. I think they tell you to surround yourself with people that are a little further along in life than where you want to be so you can learn from them.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel you need a little bit of everything. You need your family to have your back. You need your friends to hear you when you want to vent and when you're frustrated, but you also need mentors and people who inspire you to grow. One of the things that I was lucky enough back in 2021, I was selected to be a cohort in the program that the McBride sisters, who own a very famous vineyard in California, have. And I was able to spend time meeting with them on a monthly basis. And because they know how hard this industry is and how male dominated this industry is, they want to sort of open a path for other women in the wine industry to grow. So that was very, very important for me.
What other pieces of wisdom might you want to share with somebody who is thinking about growing? Maybe a younger woman who's thinking about starting her own business. What might you tell her?
That it's not going to be easy, but you don't need it to be easy. You just need it to be possible. And you can do hard things. This is very, very hard, but it's also very, very rewarding. One thing that I realized is Partners in Grapes, my company, didn't exist until I created it. So I made this, and we can do this. We can make it, but it's going to be challenging and hard. And it's important to have people. You need a support system, and you need to understand the numbers. and you need to believe in yourself. If you believe you can do it, you're already halfway there. And you still have to show up and do the work every single day.
Every day, even the days you don't feel like it, you
Every
have to
day.
do the work.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Tell our listeners where they would be able to find your branded wines and also how they could connect with you on social media or online.
Yes, so they can visit our website, partnersandgrapes.com, and they can purchase our wines online. They can also get them at Earth Fare, the grocery store, Frugal McDougal, Southern Spirits, State Line Elite. We have a store located on our website. We have about 120 retailers in the Carolinas and Georgia. And if they want to reach me, they can do so on our website or sending me a DM on Instagram and Facebook. I check those regularly and I do respond to people all the time.
Excellent. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time, but thank you so much for being here with us. Is there anything else you might want to share before we let you go for the day?
I just want to, first of all, I want to thank you, Aubrey, for this. And I want to, emphasize the fact that this is such a great conversation. And the fact that we are able to share our stories and inspire other women, I think it's super important, because if they see you doing it, if they see me doing it, they can believe that they can do it themselves. And that's very important and it means a lot.